TSN hockey insider, afternoon radio host, hockey color analyst, and just
water bottle extraordinaire.
Yeah, did we get shipment in? Did the water bottle show?
He didn't ask my address either. I'm a little worried about that.
Jamie,
I don't even know where you live. Like it's parts unknown. That's when we hung up last. I was like, yeah, I'll send it to you. Where do I send it to? Buffalo?
What country?
Do I just write Buffalo on it? Like where do you live? You have a house in Calgary. Like I feel like you're one of these guys that just hails from parts unknown. You're like a wrestler in this corner. Aaron Rodgers lookalike, hailing from parts unknown.
That's parts unknown, weight unknown.
No, he looks thin and in shape. He looks very good.
Thank you, Jamie. I've been doing some carnivore and some cold plunging, and I'm pretty dialed in.
And you got what do you got in the fridge behind you? That is awesome.
You've not seen our beer?
That's our Barn Burner Blonde beer from Origin Brewing in Strathmore and in Calgary.
You guys don't trust me with it. That's the problem. You don't trust me with having one. When I'm in Calgary in December, we're having a few of those. Those are glorious.
Yeah. Shout out Surgeon.
Hey, this is not just some flunky thing you're dealing with here, Glennon.
Listen,
I mean, mostly, but
it is. Listen, I'm the fourth flunky on the show. That's what it is. You know, that's why I fit. We're just we're all alike. That's really what it is. What's going on with these Calgary Flames?
I was going to say,
hot start.
We're in a weird spot. You want to be happy, but it's 4 games. You think they're making the playoffs? Don't be stupid. So you can't be too overly happy or excited. And if you're negative, you're just an a-hole. It's a lot right
We had Frank on yesterday. He's like, the first week of the season is the hardest time to do any of these hits because everyone wants to react, and it's the tiniest of samples. And if these were 3 or 4 games in the middle of January, we'd have context, but there is none. You had 0 games before this week, right?
Yeah, but you only can win the games that are in front of you. So I'll take that. Like, we could be talking about an 0-4 start and some guys not looking like they're ready. And, geez, Wolf looks small in the net, like a couple of weeks ago, I feel like I said that. Like he got exposed in Winnipeg that night. Now, Winnipeg had an NHL roster. The Flames didn't send an NHL roster that exhibition game. Wolf looks good. Some of the kids look good. They look like they're – the one thing that I have noticed early on, and you guys tell me if you've noticed it as well, the teams that got some young players, like they're full of piss and vinegar. Like these guys want to show why they want to play in the league. So they're treating every shift like it is a game 7, like it is where, up the road, those guys are in summer mode. They're just still like the other night against Calgary. I thought the Flames played very well, and the Oilers didn't, in the immortal words of Chopper, Al McNeil, those guys didn't piss a drop. They didn't in Edmonton. They were very, very lethargic. And to me, the Flames look organized. They look like they work hard to a man. They got good goaltending. Like they've got a little bit of everything. So, you're right. Context is everything. But, after 4 games, I like what I see. If it changes after the next 4 games, then you adjust. But, even watching that game last night, like they looked, they got jammed, and I like that. Some push.
My fear was always that you start the season and they start slow. And now some of those veteran guys that are pulling on the rope for them and setting the tone, they're looking down the road at other teams going, I wonder if I could finagle a deal and get out of here. Because
they check out. They check out early, right?
Yeah, right. Like you're 0-4 right now. Everything's different.
Yeah, I agree. If you're 0-4 on a team that is expected to be 0-4, then you're already, we got the saying, like you already got the U-Haul packed. You're already looking at Expedia. Like, what are we doing at, April 18th, like talking to the wife, like talking to the buddies, somebody's getting married on May 1st. Like, I'll be there locked in, like that type of stuff. That's what guys do. We have this on-standing joke, like or long-running joke is, the U-Hauls are packed and Expedia, if you check the cookies on the computer, like guys have already got their spots picked. But to me, you have a start like this, and you can even see it in some of the veterans in the way that they're handling themselves, being interviewed. It's like, hey, you know what? We might have something here. Now, again, 4 games, guys are excited about it. you know, and you're not getting, you know, you got Edmonton's not best. You know, I didn't think Chicago they had some good chances, but to me, I thought Calgary was the better team. But overall, I've liked their play, and there's nothing wrong with liking their play early, you know, halfway through October and going, I'm happy for them. I think Husk has done a really good job. The coaches really coached them up and held them to task. And I think veteran leadership, you know, we talked about it last week, Huberdeau, you know, like he looks more like Huberdeau. That's the guy that they traded for, type of thing. The guy who's got a little jam, gets a stick broken, goes, you know, gets to the bench. And, you know, to me, this is a guy that he should be an 82-point guy in his sleep. If the old Huberdeau, this guy looks a little bit more like the old Huberdeau, which is good. I'm happy for him. So, you know, again, it's 4 games, but it's a good storyline. And
again, is some of that because they got a guy like Pospisil. Now, he's not a rookie per se, but he's a young guy still, and he's a piss and vinegar guy. And they've got enough of those guys on the team where it gets infectious for the older guys. You know what? I got to keep up with this kid. I got to help him out. This is fun.
I'll never forget playing with Dion. Dion was 19 years old. We were in exhibition. We're winning 4-1 with 60 seconds left in the game. And, you know, the game's over. Everyone's just checked out. He knocks a guy over the boards in the neutral zone. You're like, what the hell are you doing? Now there's a bit of a line brawl. I remember Jerome going, what? Like, Jerome was pissed because I think there was a fight, or maybe Robin was pissed because Robin had to jump in or whatever. And you're going, what are you doing? But these young guys are wired that way. It's like, hey, I'm playing for keeps regardless. And, you know, what it does is it drags like older guys into it going, hey, this guy's kind of in it. I better be involved here too. Like, to me, that's what's infectious with young players playing with veteran guys, especially early on.
Did you see Edmonton last night? Because there's a tie in there. I thought the tide turned with the 2 fights. Stetcher scraps a way bigger man, and then Perry drops the mitts with, I believe, Farabee. And then all of a sudden you saw pace and give a fuck out of your stars, which is, I thought's been missing for the first whole week of the year.
Well, even preseason too, I'll say this, you know, Knobloch isn't a very emotional guy. He just kind of stands there behind the bench. He's calculated. You know, Draisaitl misses 2 rotations of shifts right after his bad penalty. That's a message, you know, like, hey, I didn't. And you know what? The media tried to make a big deal about it afterwards. Rashog saying, you know, you ask Draisaitl, and Draisaitl goes, you know, talk to him what the reasoning was. Don't talk to me. And instead of Knobloch throwing him under the bus or whatever, he just said, you know what? We have to be more disciplined, because Draisaitl had taken a bad penalty. They scored at the end of the 5-on-3, just right at the end to make it. And to me, I think Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, Bouchard, Ekholm, Skinner, all RNH, they all look bad right now. They all aren't at the top of their game. Now, you saw glimpses to it last night after the fight, after a slight benching, you know, and to be fair, they had some chances early on. They hit 3 posts. There was a couple, I mean, they had 7 penalties called against them. So it was undisciplined. But also, I thought the refs had a tough night on both sides, because you could argue that McDavid had that penalty in overtime that sent him kind of, you know, so that should have been a penalty or close to it. And then they had another goal called back, which this goaltender interference, guys, I don't know where you're at, but I'm struggling. It's like pass interference. I can't get a read on it. It's just flags and penalties and no goals and all of that stuff, because to be honest, I get the letter of the law. I had 2 of them in Ottawa the other night, that 8-7 game. I had 2 calls there where you could make a case for the goaltender. My whole argument is the goalie should be afforded to make a save. That's it. It's his crease. And if there's contact, he has to be able to make a save. But last night, Hyman comes through the screen. He touches the glove, but then his own defenseman hits the blocker, and then it goes in, and now they call it no goal. I would have challenged that, to be honest. If I was Knobloch, they didn't challenge because I think they're seeing the way the league is going. But honestly, I can't tell. I don't know how you guys feel, but I can't tell.
It feels great. Like as gray as it's ever been.
It almost feels
since
like
99 or 2000 or holes. I feel like it's as gray as it's ever been.
Or it feels like there has to have been some
mandate come out again from the league
quietly in the off season, right? Because
like in the Calgary game, I thought the one that Perga called on, I'm like, that's a goal.
Yeah,
and they haul it back. Like the offsides, that's cut and dry.
Offsides, black and white. Like
but
that's
goal
black and
interference.
white.
Like
Yeah.
There's hardly any contact at all. Oh, but it's the crease. And it's like, well, hang on. We haven't been calling it like that for a while.
That one I thought was, yeah, I would have, personally, and not being biased towards the Flames, I would have called that a goal. I just didn't think there was enough. Like, and if you looked at it, Vladar kind of pushed into him, like reached out with the glove. So, he did reach out to push him and go, this is my space. But that's the contact. He initiated it. And to me, even the league explanation is like the goalie has to be afforded the space to make the save, which is fine. But are we calling the crease now? Like, are we actually calling the blue paint? If you are, then that's a no-fly zone. You tell the players, it's 1999 over again.
Easy, Jamie.
Easy. I know. I don't want that, but I'm saying if it's going to go to the WIHF rules where it's like you're close to the crease, you don't call it, then at least there's some consistency with the players.
Yeah, just tell us what the rules are.
Exactly.
And just so people kind of understand, it was in 99, they had the hard and fast skate. If your skate is in the crease, in the blue
touching the line, I think it was
no goal.
I was playing in Toronto one night for St. Louis, and Wendell Clark scored 2 goals, and both of them got called back because there was a guy on the back door with a skate lace. We ended up winning 6-4. Might have been 6-5, but just I remember
give me 6, boys. Hey, Noodles, just get me 6.
Two called back, and Mark Bergman said to me after, he goes, "You did your best, Noodles, but we still won." And I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, I was so bad that night, just couldn't get hit by, and that was a tough building, that old Maple Leaf Garden.
Oh yeah.
And they were on top of you, and Toronto was a team that shot the puck in that building a lot. But I had 2 called back. And they were ridiculous. Like, there was nobody near me, but there was a guy on the back door with like a skate lace in. They were like, no goal. I'm like, oh my God, I'll take it. So that's ridiculous.
Where is Bergevin now?
LA.
Assistant.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he's assistant GM or something, assistant to the general manager or something like that. He's got a good life out there.
I was going to say,
surf every morning.
He's got a good life wherever he goes, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, Berge, you know him. Pretty happy guy.
There was a lot of stuff he had to deal with in Montreal there for a while. I would bet going to LA and being a
little more anonymous.
Just step back a little bit.
Well, that was 9 years of, as you guys know, that market. 9 years of under the microscope, everything you do in 2 languages. So yeah, at that market wears on, like anything, like any Canadian market, it wears on people. The ups and downs and all of that type of stuff. But, they had their run to the final, come up short. But, I think in the end, he left them with some decent pieces. So we'll see. I mean, they've got some pieces now, man. They're going to be good in the future.
Have you, Lane Hudson early returns? Everyone's very excited about him in Habsland.
Watched him live. Kind of has a Quinn Hughes type of vibe, like just really polished with the puck.
So
here's the one thing, because there's all these memes on the internet right now of remember how PK Subban used to do the quick feet and look busy. Hey, I'm busy and this is what I'm going to do and all of that. Hudson has a little bit of that, so people are kind of drawing the parallel. I would say the parallel for me is Quinn Hughes, the way he's smooth with the puck, the way he's not shy to walk the line and use his teammates. The one thing I will say, you don't have to make a 10 out of 10 play every time. He's going to learn that a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 and get the puck to space. With experience, he's going to learn that. But right now it's flash and dash. But he's going to be a hell of a player. He's really going to be a hell of a player.
It's that U.S. national team development program that's putting a lot of those types of players out there. Like there obviously has to be something in the way they're training or teaching those kids that's giving these kids that ability. Like,
well, they get the best of the best.
Yeah.
Like they get, Jake Sanderson's he was born in Montana, but he's Canadian. I mean, I grew up with Jeff and Ellen, the parents, like in St. Albert. But he was born in Montana and he could have chosen either or, but he went to the U.S. program. Like that program brings. Now, my understanding is if you're special in that program, it's just they prop you up to be the best of your age group. But if you're kind of on the second tier,
you don't get as many chances.
Don't get as much
Maybe
love.
you don't get maximized as much because you could go somewhere else and play power play and get all kinds of minutes. But I'll tell you what, that program as well, they don't give a shit about winning. They're all about developing you and making you. They play in that USHL league, and they don't care if you win.
Exhibitions against college teams, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Go
take guys to the roster.
Go play.
I think they do it right. They put a bunch of money into it. You don't hear much noise out of it either. They, I don't know if these guys are ultra disciplined or if they have, issues and they just get swept under the carpet. Like to me, you just hear about that program spitting out. Now you look at every draft in the top 10, it seems like there's 5 guys from that program.
You get more than the Q every year now. It's wild. Like the whole league. And that's my fear here is that we've watered down our top developmental league so much. You've got 60 teams theoretically in the CHL, 120 goalies. And in the US, they've got an incubator with their 24 best guys pushing each other every day. Like that's closed the gap in my mind.
I don't disagree with you, but there's the other side of that coin. We're talking about stuff that I never thought we'd talk about today. The other side of that coin is that by having that many, you're allowing that many more kids to develop. There are kids in the States that don't make that program and think they've failed and they feel like it's ending for them, right? Like so having more opportunity for more kids to continue to play at a higher level. I know it's watered down and it's a different model, but it does allow more kids to stay in it. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
It's a very small top tier. It's not a let's take.
Here's the other thing too. I don't know how you guys feel, but this rule of where a kid now can play college and go to junior or whatever, I think that might be a game changer. Correct?
So there's so many unknowns here because let's say I sign a CHL contract and I do want to play college. Wouldn't if I'm smart and I'm the WHL or pick a team anywhere in the CHL, wouldn't I say commit for 2-3 years here? Like we're still figuring this out. It's going to happen, but what it looks like and what sort of leverage the CHL has to keep its best players will be interesting. The stupidest rule in hockey is that at 19, you can't leave the CHL to go play in the A. They're now suddenly going to let 17 and 18-year-olds go to college. Like I think this isn't quite as cut and dried as people think it is yet.
It's a good point because I think there are guys that are tweener players that have reached their peak or reached the top level in the junior league CHL, but they're not ready to play in the NHL. So it's almost like where can they go? Where can you place these guys? I feel like there should be something written in that you could almost grandfather like one exception or one exemption for a player that you have in your system that happens to be 19, but I know that jams up your CHL team. I know that the Leafs would have probably liked to put this Easton Cowan kid in with the Marlies in the AHL level. Kid had to go back to junior. I think he had 90 points in 58 games last year and seemed to have kind of won everything and done everything. Yeah. But he's going to go back and learn how to be a leader and learn how to – he needs to be a pro away from the puck still and watching him. And I think a lot of these guys, like I still believe junior's a very, very good developmental league. I went through the process, Retro, you did. Like to me, it was a different time, but I still believe it's a great league. But it doesn't mean I don't believe in osmosis and changing stuff and allowing gifted players more opportunity to grow themselves personally.
It feels like they're having conversations, and we can move on because I do think it's probably a little, but the conversations that are being had right now would have been, we don't, that's never going to happen. That's ludicrous. This is the way it is. It was very kind of old school, like that 19-year-old thing. I feel like that's got to be in the offing at some point soon because it does. My understanding is it's to protect the CHL or the Western League so that you keep the kids,
keep your stars longer. But this whole NCAA thing short circuits that. That's what's weird, right?
Yeah, I know. We'll move on. Now, we had a goalie goal last night. How close were you ever to scoring while you were in net?
If you guys know the color guy for the St. Louis Blues is Jamie Rivers, correct? Now it's Darren. He took over for Darren Pang. I didn't know if you guys knew that or not.
Pang's in Chicago now because we saw him here last night. He had a picture.
So if you look closely at Jamie Rivers' face, he's got a scar on his forehead, and I did that to him. He was my defenseman. So this play, you know who cost the St. Louis Blues this goal against? Buchnevich. What the hell are you doing?
Handing it to him.
Shot it right at him.
It's a slap shot and plays catch with him. Here's he catch. So he catches it, puts it down, and goes, "Yeah, I'll fire it in the net." At least mine. Now I was playing in the minors for the Worcester Ice Cats, and that was St. Louis's farm team. I was coming back from meningitis and working my body back, and we're up by a goal, and it's a cross corner dump.
Mm-hmm.
And the puck comes right to the slot. And I said, okay, I'm going to grab this and I'm going to shoot it down the middle of the ice. And I get all of it, and I get some elevation on it. Now, Jamie Rivers is back, skating backwards, and he turns right into the trajectory, and I hit him right between the eyes and knock his helmet off. There's blood. And here's how tough Jamie Rivers is. He stays out because now we're defending and we're trying to defend a lead, and he's bleeding everywhere and he's hacking and whacking, trying to block shots. And I'm almost crying in the net going, I almost killed my teammate here. So, the silver lining out of this is after the game, he got called up. Like it just was a coincidence that he got called up to the big team, but he got I think 6 stitches in his forehead. And it was the most, I would have scored there. But I fired it, and it was
better than you scoring.
He couldn't have skated into it more perfect. He was backwards and then pivoted right into it, and it went right on his forehead. I was so sad because he was a buddy of mine, still is to this day. But I buried that, so I never tried, and I didn't handle the puck very well. But I never tried to shoot the puck down the ice like that ever again. I was so horrified. It scarred me. You guys can tell. I'm still talking about it. I'm emotional.
And you think about, in his mind, the last thing he's expecting is that puck coming back at him, eyeball high.
Yeah, it's not Brodeur back there.
It was the dumb, I don't know. It was bad luck, but it was a dumb thing. And especially knowing me, he would have been like, there's no chance Noodles is going to shoot that puck because I don't handle the puck very well.
Where's he setting this up?
That was it.
Yeah, imagine his processor. Okay,
yeah.
How much time left in the clock? They got the empty net. Okay, do I need to change
four checkers? He's going to set it up.
Wham!
Yeah.
Break it out here. We got this thing.
Thanks, James.
Yeah.
Damn it. And then, then it's in their zone. His eyes are watering. He's bleeding all over.
If I was him, I would have skated right off. But he didn't. He stuck it out and was boxing guys out in the front. And I just was horrified. I've done that a few times to people. I think I've told you the story of Kevin Cheveldayoff. Did I tell you that one?
No.
Oh my God. This one's bad too. we're playing in Adirondack, and the puck comes around. Now, Kevin Cheveldayoff was my defenseman, the Capital District Islander. So it was my first year pro. The puck comes around the net, and we're in Adirondack. And Adirondack is a tiny building, and I go to stop the puck behind the net. And usually as a goalie, you stop it, you pull it off the boards, and you allow your defenseman to skate through. Well, the puck got caught on the boards. It flipped up and got caught on the boards. And I was trying to pull it off, and I could hear Chevy going, leave it, get out of the way. So I get out of the way, and this guy named Max Mittendorf comes and buries Chevy, because Chevy had to stop to try and dig it off the boards, buries him head first into the boards off the dasher. So now his helmet goes flying. He's skating around. I can see a huge cut on his forehead, a big cut. And it kind of had flapped open. And he's skating around. The whistle goes. I go to the bench, and he's sitting there, and he goes, am I cut? And I can see his skull. I could see his skull. His skin had flapped open. And I'm like, you might need 1 or 2, Chevy. Sorry about that. And I think nowadays, if you see him being interviewed, he's got a big scar on his forehead, that's my puck handling ability. That's what it is. It's horrifying.
It's a gift.
It's not a gift. It's a curse. It's a curse what I did to some of my D-men. Terrible.
So when did you finally decide to stop playing the puck? Which one of these horrendous injuries?
Honestly, I've told 2 stories. There's lots where I was actually pretty good at getting out and stopping it and just leaving it. I never did much with it. But outside of that, I didn't try to, make We had one play in Calgary, Dave Marcoux, our goalie coach. It was just either reverse, forward, or leave it. And the D came out and they fanned out. That was it. But it was cut and dry. You knew exactly what you're going to do when you're on your way out, and you made the call. But outside of that, I didn't mess around with the puck. I was no good.
Less is more. We have had some guys here that we were trying to convince of that. That was on deaf ears. Terrible.
Very upsetting.
Well, yeah, I didn't know it was going to go that way. That was kind of found money. That was the 20 in the ski jacket. Thanks for that, Noodles. Awesome. We know you got a hard out. We'll let you get out of here. What's up for the next week or so?
I'm in Ottawa tomorrow. So Ottawa, Jersey looks like, we'll see Markstrom,
Mark hurt. What's going on there?
Didn't skate today.
Or 2 days ago.
Concerning because they gave up 7. They gave up a touchdown without him.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't like Forsberg game. Those afternoon games, kind of guys are sleepy. Mm-hmm. That game was crazy, though. That was bananas. Like, had LA kind of knuckled down, that was a 6-2 win for LA. But I will say this, like, Ottawa got going. Their penalty kill was no good. They gave up 3 power play goals against, which, that'll kill anybody. But then their power play got going, and then they scored a bunch of power play goals. And Darcy Kemper now is not starting in Toronto tonight. He's day-to-day with something. And I'm like, well, he's day-to-day with hurt feelings, man. Like, he gave up an 8 spot.
You didn't pull him.
You got to pull him. You're right. And you know what? It doesn't matter where you are in the score and that. If you give up 6, I had a rule as a goalie coach. The minute you hit 6, you're out. Because 7 is a converted touchdown. That's hard mentally on anybody. 6 you can live with. Hey, we lost 6-3. We lost 6-4.
Couple field goals. Yeah.
7 is a bad number. 8 is even worse. Like 8's like I'm not happy and I'm not playing it next game. And that's what Darcy Kemper. I hope he's all right. I'm making light of it, but they left him in there for an 8 spot. Which hurt.
What was Patrick Waugh, 8 or 9, and that was the end of Montreal. It was. Oh,
Patrick Waugh, yeah, he went to the owner and said, "I'm out."
That's enough of that.
Yeah, I do remember. You guys can probably speak this. Didn't Daryl leave Brian Boucher in for 9 with the Flames because he wasn't going to put Kipper in? I think it was Daryl or Jimmy. Somebody did, but I remember after I left, Brian Boucher was there, and I swear they left Boucher in for like 9 in Nashville one night. And that, as a backup, you got to eat that. You got to chew on that, that's your job. But a 9 spot is ugly.
I must have been hurt.
Well, I was going to say, you've had 9 in Nashville, just not in net.
9 buckets of beer at Legends.
Yeah.
From 11 a.m. till 3 a.m. But that's a different story.
That's right. We'll let you get out of here, buddy. Good to see you. Have a good week.
Guys, have a good one. We'll chat later.
TSN Insider. That's inside stuff right there.
That's inside.
Jamie McLennan on the Crystal Waters Plumbing and Heating Insider Hotline.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.